Uh, One time for the dreamers, two times for the grind. You set in the spot, yeah, it's your time to shine. Freedom ain't a myth, it's digital now. Let's go get it. Started with a laptop vision in my...
Okay, so let's get right into it. If you just look at the headlines, the economy seems like it's booming, right? Corporate profits are through the roof, the stock market's climbing. But then, if you're actually out there looking for a job, especially a first job, it can feel, well, completely broken. So what is going on here? We're going to try and unravel this really strange mystery of what's being called the jobless boom. And this slide really tells the whole story, doesn't it? It's like a tale of two different economies existing at the same time. In one, U.S. corporate earnings are surging, investors are thrilled. And in the other, companies have cut nearly 1 million jobs just this year. You see these headlines about record profits sitting right next to news about thousands of layoffs. It's this bizarre paradox that's defining everything right now. And believe it or not, economists actually have a name for this whole situation. It was coined by Chen Zhao from the investment research firm Alpine Macro, and he calls it a jobless boom. See, historically, layoffs happen when companies are in trouble. But what's so weird now is that even super profitable companies, think Amazon, are cutting tens of thousands of jobs. It's like they're following a totally new playbook, and it's leaving a lot of us scratching our heads, wondering where we fit in. So the big question is, who's feeling the pain from this jobless boom the most? Well, all signs are pointing to the youngest people in the workforce. Let's take a closer look at what's really a career crisis for Gen Z. Okay, get ready because this number is just staggering. A recent report from Kick Resume found that a majority, 58%, of recent college grads are still out there looking for a job. Now, to give you some perspective, for previous generations like millennials and Gen Xers, only about 25% were in that same boat. So this isn't just, tough market. It's a historically brutal one for new graduates. And this chart just lays it all out, plain and simple. In the past, almost 40% of graduates had a full-time job already secured by the time they got their diploma. For Gen Z today, that number has absolutely cratered to just 12%. They're 3 times less likely to have a job lined up. That whole promise that a college degree is your golden ticket to a job, well, it seems to be fading, and fast. This quote from the researchers who did the study really hits the nail on the head. It's not that young people aren't trying. I mean, you hear stories of them sending out hundreds, even over 1,000 applications. The real issue is that the job market itself has fundamentally changed. The game is just different. It's way more demanding, and those traditional doors into a career seem to be slamming shut. So this brings us to the biggest question of all. If the economy is growing, but the jobs aren't, where is all that value going? Let's investigate the prime suspect that a lot of experts are pointing their fingers at: artificial intelligence. This is the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? As this slide asks, seriously, where did all the entry-level jobs go? Let's dig into the leading theory, that they're basically being automated out of existence. So here's the main argument, coming straight from Chen Zhao, the same economist who coined the jobless boom term. He's saying that AI is letting companies become incredibly efficient without needing more human workers. They can make more money and produce more stuff, but that success just doesn't translate into more jobs anymore, especially for those entry-level roles that are, frankly, easier for a machine to do. But, not everyone's convinced that AI is the bad guy here. Art Papas, who's the CEO of Bullhorn, he has a different take. He thinks the lack of entry-level jobs is just a symptom of a bigger problem, a widespread hiring freeze. From his point of view, companies are just playing it safe after all the chaos of the pandemic, and AI is kind of a convenient scapegoat for bigger economic jitters. To really get why companies might feel like they have the upper hand to freeze hiring or go all in on automation, we kind of have to rewind a little bit. What happened in the job market during the pandemic gives us some really important clues. As you can see right here, the power dynamic has done a complete 180. Back in 2021, you had the Great Resignation. Everybody was quitting, and workers had a ton of leverage. But by 2023, things cooled way down. Now we're in what people are calling the big stay. Everyone's worried about the economy, so they're clinging to their jobs, which has shifted all the power right back to the employers. So what this all really means is that the brief moment when workers were in the driver's seat, well, that's over. The balance of power has swung hard in favor of employers, and since they're less afraid of their employees walking out the door, they're in a much better position to cut costs. And what's one of the best ways to do that? You guessed it, investing in automation and AI. All right, so let's put all these pieces together. What does this all add up to? Are we just in some weird temporary economic phase, or are we actually witnessing a permanent fundamental change in how work works? This comment from a Reddit discussion really captures the anxiety that so many people are feeling right now. I mean, when a whole generation does what they're told, they get the education, they work hard, but then they find themselves locked out of the system, it makes you ask some really serious questions about whether the game is even fair anymore. And this, right here, this gets to the absolute core of the change. Companies just don't want to invest in training people anymore. They expect you to show up on day one, ready to be productive. This way of thinking completely demolishes that traditional career ladder, the one where you could get your foot in the door with an entry-level job and learn the skills you need to move up. That first rung is just gone. So the final verdict seems pretty clear. This isn't just a temporary slump we can wait out. We are right in the middle of a massive structural shift. The old rules that a degree gets you a job, that companies will train you, that a growing economy means more opportunities for everybody, it feels like those rules just don't apply anymore. And this leaves us with the one critical, unanswered question. If that traditional path from school to a stable career is crumbling, what's going to replace it? What skills are actually going to matter? And how is the next generation supposed to find their place in an economy that seems to need them less and less? That right there is the challenge we're all facing now.
With Yusuf, $6 to crack.